Have you ever faced a challenge, maybe a tough new project at work, or even just a personal setback,
Mhm.
and felt that familiar surge of emotion?
Yeah, that feeling.
What is it that truly determines whether you push through, learn from it and grow, or if you just, well, disengage?
Exactly. And what if the way you fundamentally think about your capabilities is actually the most powerful determinant of your success?
That's the really powerful question we're unpacking today.
It is. We're diving deep into mindsets, which
Mhm.
is a groundbreaking concept from Carol Dweck's remarkable work.
And this goes way beyond just positive thinking,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about the core beliefs you hold deep down about your intelligence, your personality,
Hmm.
and how these beliefs, well, they profoundly shape pretty much every aspect of your life.
Okay, so our mission today is to uncover how these mindsets play out. And everything from how we learn and approach relationships
Mhm.
to how we perform in sports, how we lead in business.
Yeah. We want to arm you, the listener, with powerful insights to navigate challenges and truly unlock your potential. And at its core, Dweck introduces two really distinct ways of thinking.
So what are these mindsets? What's the fundamental difference between them?
Well, Dweck's initial research really brought this to light. She started with what seems like a simple experiment, observing 10-year-olds solving puzzles.
Okay, puzzles.
Right. The first few were easy, build up some confidence.
Yeah.
But then she introduced some much harder ones.
Ah, the challenge.
Exactly. And what she saw was, well, truly unexpected.
And here's where it gets really interesting, isn't it?
It is. Some children, when they hit those difficult puzzles, they actually, pulled their chairs closer. They got more engaged.
Huh. So they saw the challenge as an opportunity.
Pretty much. An opportunity to learn.
Mhm.
But others,
Mm.
they quickly showed distress. They disengaged.
So it wasn't just about how they coped with difficulty.
No, it went deeper. It was about their underlying beliefs about their own abilities.
Right. Which led her to define the first one, the fixed mindset.
Precisely. So in this view, intelligence and talent are seen as innate, fixed, unchangeable traits. You either have that natural gift or you don't.
You can kind of see echoes of that historically, right? Certain philosophers thinking intelligence was just a fixed quantity.
Absolutely. And the consequence of believing this is profound. People with a fixed mindset, they tend to focus on proving their existing ability.
So they avoid challenges.
They often do, yeah.
Right.
Anything that might expose a perceived flaw. They fear failure. And they can even see effort itself as a sign of low ability.
That if I have to work hard, I'm not smart enough kind of thinking.
Exactly that. It's a really limiting internal monologue.
It really is. But, okay, what happens if you bring a growth mindset to that exact same scenario? How does that inner voice shift?
But with a growth mindset, the core belief is fundamentally different. It's that abilities can be developed through dedication, through hard work, through finding good strategies.
So it's not about being a natural.
Not at all. It's about growing, improving. And, this aligns perfectly with what most experts agree on today. It's not nature or nurture.
It's both. A constant give and take.
Right, a dynamic interplay. Even our genes need environmental input to work properly.
And the science is backing this up more and more.
Definitely. Researchers now understand the brain has far more capacity for lifelong learning and development than we ever imagined.
Like Robert Sternberg, the intelligence expert, saying the major factor in expertise isn't some fixed ability.
But purposeful engagement,
Yeah.
actively working at it.
And we see this play out in history, don't we?
Consistently. Think about people like Charles Darwin or Leo Tolstoy,
Mm-hmm.
considered pretty ordinary as children.
Or Ben Hogan, the golfer. Uncoordinated as a kid, apparently.
Yeah. And Cindy Sherman, the photographer, she actually failed her first photography course. Geraldine Page, the legendary actress, was told early on to just give up acting.
Wow. So what do these stories really show us?
They show that true potential isn't always obvious from the start. Often it's forged. It's built through relentless effort, through practice, often in the face of, significant initial challenges or failures.
So effort doesn't just enable ability.
It can actually create it. That's the real insight here.
That completely reframes how we think about talent. And you mentioned this isn't just about smarts, right? It applies more broadly.
Absolutely, not just intelligence. Mindsets apply to our mental capabilities, that's the intelligence mindset, but also to our personal qualities. Things like dependability, social skills, your personality mindset.
Okay, so what's the key difference in impact?
Well, a fixed mindset makes you constantly concerned with how you'll be judged. You're always sort of performing, trying to prove yourself,
Versus the growth mindset.
which makes you concerned with improving, always
Hmm.
looking for ways to develop yourself, your skills, your capabilities. It's about progress, not proving.
Okay, so let's make this concrete. How do these mindsets play out in real life, especially when things inevitably go wrong?
Good question. Let's imagine a hypothetical scenario. Say you get a C+ on an important midterm.
Okay, not great.
Then on the way home, bam, a parking ticket.
Adding insult to injury.
And to top it all off, maybe your best friend brushes you off when you call them to vent.
Ugh, that's a genuinely bad day.
It is. Now, with a fixed mindset, these events tend to get internalized as direct judgments on your inherent worth.
So you think,
You might immediately think, I'm a failure, or I'm just not smart enough, or I guess I'm not a good friend.
wow, straight to identity level conclusions.
Exactly. And that leads not just to disappointment, but to feeling really discouraged, maybe defensive, and this sense that you're permanently labeled by these setbacks.
Ouch, that sounds like a really tough cycle to be in.
It is.
But what if you're operating with a growth mindset? How would that same awful day register?
Well, you'd still feel disappointed, of course. Nobody enjoys a C+ or a parking ticket.
Right, it still stings.
But instead, your internal monologue would shift. It'd be more like, okay, what can I learn from this C+ ool? What study strategies could I try next time?
More problem-solving oriented.
Precisely. And, how can I avoid getting parking tickets in the future? And what's going on with my friend? Maybe I should try talking to them later to understand, communicate better.
So it's less about I am bad and more about what can I do?
Exactly. It becomes a series of problems to be faced, learned from, and then, crucially, moved past. They aren't definitive statements about who you fundamentally are.
That makes such a crucial difference in resilience, doesn't it? How quickly you can bounce back.
Huge difference.
And it makes me think about the danger of those fixed labels sticking. You mentioned a story about Loretta.
Ah, yes, that's a really poignant example from the research.
Mhm.
Loretta, at age 5, took some tests and got placed in a non-elite kindergarten class. And even though she excelled later on, won lots of academic prizes, she remained convinced, decades later, that that initial test defined her, that she wasn't a true eagle, as the top group was called.
Wow. So one evaluation felt permanent because of that fixed mindset.
Exactly. It created this self-limiting belief that lasted for years. It's the illusion of knowing someone's potential right from the start.
Like Joseph P. Kennedy telling Morton Downey Jr. he'd be a failure just because of his red socks and brown shoes.
Right. It sounds absurd, but people make those kinds of judgments based on fixed ideas all the time. Many highly accomplished people, like, say, Cézanne, whose early paintings were considered pretty poor.
They were initially dismissed by the experts.
But people with a growth mindset understand that potential isn't usually this instant flowering. It takes time, effort, cultivation.
And that's where that powerful little word yet comes in, right?
Exactly. The fixed mindset makes people feel they have to already be great, instantly proficient.
But the growth mindset adds yet.
Right, I'm not good at this
Yeah.
yet.
It acknowledges where you are now, but implies future development is possible, even expected.
That's so important. Okay, this brings us to a really fascinating, maybe counterintuitive part of the research: how we praise people.
Ah, yes, the praise studies. Very revealing.
Dweck found that praising children for their intelligence, it actually backfires.
It does quite significantly. It harms their motivation and ultimately their performance
How so?
because it makes them vulnerable to challenges. If their success is based on being smart, then struggling makes them feel not smart. So they avoid challenges where they might fail and look bad.
So they become less likely to engage deeply in learning.
Exactly. Whereas praising effort, praising the strategies they use, their resilience, the things they actually control.
That boosts performance.
It does. It teaches children that hard work and figuring things out are the paths to success, not some innate fixed gift.
But our society often seems to value the opposite, doesn't it? Malcolm Gladwell talked about this, the obsession with natural, effortless accomplishment. Oh, completely. We love the idea of the prodigy, the natural, Midori, Michael Jordan, Picasso.
Mhm.
We imagine them just popping out fully formed.
Which really fosters that fixed mindset.
It absolutely does. But the truth about effort is usually quite different. Even those we label geniuses, like Mozart. The amount of work was immense. He worked until his hands were deformed.
Wow.
Or think about Seabiscuit, the racehorse. A broken-down horse, a damaged team. They triumphed through sheer dogged determination.
Incredible story.
These examples consistently show it's often not about the innate gift, but about the will to grow, the relentless application of effort.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. How do these mindsets play out in our closest connections, our relationships?
This is crucial. For someone with a fixed mindset, falling in love often comes with this belief in, well, instant perfect and perpetual
You're
compatibility.
meant to be ideal, riding off into the sunset.
Exactly. And the dangerous corollary is if you have to work at it, it wasn't meant to be.
But is that really how strong relationships work?
Well, relationship experts like Aaron Beck and John Gottman say that belief, if we need to work at it, something's seriously wrong, is one of the most destructive beliefs a couple can hold.
So all relationships require work.
Pretty much all strong, lasting ones do, yes. Ongoing effort, communication, growth, both individually and together.
There's a story in the book about Charlene and Max.
Right. They had this initial intense compatibility,
Yeah.
but Max was moody, and he saw that as a fixed part of his personality, just who he was.
Okay.
So when he got moody, he wanted to be left alone. Charlene, however, wanted to talk things through, understand it.
Different approaches.
Very. And her attempts to communicate just irritated him because, in his fixed view, there was nothing to discuss. It was just him being him. Her seeing it as a problem needing discussion clashed with his view of it as an unchangeable trait.
So they got stuck. Their fixed mindsets prevented them from finding a constructive way through their differences.
Precisely. And when problems inevitably arise in relationships, the fixed mindset often leads straight to the blame game.
How?
People start blaming their partner's fixed personality traits. Brenda is just boring. Jack is fundamentally selfish.
Which leads to
Anger, disgust, this belief that the problems are unsolvable because the person is the problem. It can easily foster contempt, which Gottman identifies as a major relationship killer.
whereas the growth mindset sees things differently.
Yes. Problems are more likely seen as, say, communication issues, or maybe skills that need developing, or misunderstandings that need clearing up.
So the focus shifts to constructive action.
Right. Learning how to communicate better, understanding each other's needs. Like the example of Ted, instead of scolding his partner Karen for a messy house when she was swamped, he recognized the situation and just started cleaning up to support her. It's about collaborative problem solving, not blame.
That's a huge difference. And this also plays out in terms of competition within relationships.
Indeed. With a fixed mindset, partners can easily fall into competition. Who's smarter? Who's more talented? More likable?
Like Susan's boyfriend Martin, who felt overshadowed when she got attention.
Exactly. She needed to be the star. In contrast, growth mindset relationships tend to foster collaboration. Partners see themselves as being on the same team.
They enhance each other's development.
Yes, they validate each other, support each other's growth, like Laura and James. Laura was initially quite self-centered, but James's steady support helped her grow. Their relationship became this safe space for development.
He supported her writing children's books.
Right. It becomes about growing together, celebrating each other's successes, not competing against one another.
Okay, let's pivot to the world of achievement now. Sports, business, leadership. This is where the naturals versus hard workers debate really heats up, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a recurring theme. Think about Billy Beane, the Oakland A's guy from Moneyball.
Yeah, amazing story.
He was a huge natural talent in high school, but he struggled in pro baseball because, as he put it, he didn't know how to fail. He hadn't developed the resilience.
But he learned from others.
He learned from guys like Lenny Dykstra, who lacked that obvious natural ability, but had, Beane said, no concept of failure. He just kept grinding. Beane later applied that growth mindset as a general manager, focusing on process and development over just raw, perceived talent.
And had incredible success with a tiny payroll.
Exactly. Or think of Muhammad Ali. He actually failed the initial physical measurements for being a natural fighter.
Really?
Yeah. He won through intellect, strategy, incredible mental toughness, not just a perfect physique. And Michael Jordan constantly worked on his weaknesses.
His coach called him a genius who constantly wants to upgrade his genius.
What a great line.
Yeah.
It captures that relentless drive to improve. Even Babe Ruth, initially inconsistent, disciplined himself, worked out constantly, loved practice. His best years came later through that discipline.
And Maury Wills, the base stealer.
Languished in the minors for over 8 years. Then through relentless practice, studying pitchers, studying catchers, he developed his base stealing skill to break Ty Cobb's record and become MVP.
It's about character and will then.
Very much so. Growth mindset athletes embrace challenge. They learn from defeat. Think Mia Hamm, Jackie Joyner-Kersee turning heartbreaks into strength.
Compared to fixed mindset athletes who might blame others.
Like John McEnroe, famous for blaming external factors and avoiding responsibility. That 2004 Boston Red Sox comeback against the Yankees, it showed that character can be learned even under immense pressure.
Okay, so how does this translate to the business world? There's been this push for the talent mindset, right?
Yes, that orthodoxy, promoted by some big consulting firms like McKinsey, argued that corporate success relies almost entirely on recruiting naturals, people with outsized talent.
But that can lead to problems.
It often does. It can foster fixed mindset CEOs who become focused on proving their own superiority. They might surround themselves with flatterers, avoid confronting tough problems.
Like Albert Dunlap at Scott Paper Sunbeam, or the Enron guys, Lay and Skilling.
Classic examples. Their tenures often involved self-aggrandizement and a fatal inability or unwillingness to address deep-seated issues. Lee Iacocca at Chrysler, too. After being fired from Ford, his need to prove himself led him to focus on public image over long-term investment.
And he was eventually pushed out for putting ego before the company. They ignore criticism, right?
Often do. They can't easily separate criticism of their actions from criticism of their fundamental worth.
So what do growth mindset leaders look like?
Well, Jim Collins, in Good to Great, found they are often quite self-effacing. They constantly ask questions. They confront the brutal facts, even about their own failures. But crucially, they maintain faith that they will eventually succeed.
And they focus on development.
Hugely. They prioritize personnel development.
Right.
Think Jack Welch at GE, Lou Gerstner at IBM.
Gerstner's turnaround at IBM is a great example.
It really is. He described himself as an avowed growth mindsetter. He inherited IBM when it had this culture of smugness and elitism.
Stuck in its ways.
Very much so. He completely overhauled the culture, the policies, focused on teamwork and adapting, and turned IBM back into a leader despite a lot of initial skepticism from Wall Street.
And there was that management study, too.
Right. It showed that teams led by managers with a growth mindset managers who believed skills could be developed showed significant improvement in simulated tasks compared to groups led by fixed mindset managers.
So the leader's mindset shapes the whole environment.
Absolutely. Growth mindset leaders foster learning, open communication, and this collective ability to confront obstacles. They see employees as collaborators in growth, not just cogs in a machine.
This is all fantastic news, really, because the core message seems to be mindsets aren't permanent.
Exactly. That's the crucial takeaway. They're absolutely changeable. And just knowing about the two mindsets, understanding them, that's the first vital step.
It's more than just, say, cognitive therapy trying to fix negative judgments.
It is, in a way. While therapy helps with negative judgments, the growth mindset helps you step out of that constant framework of judgment altogether. It shifts the focus from, am I good, bad, to how can I learn and grow?
And we see this work in practice, like with that Brainology program.
Yes. That program explicitly teaches students that their brains are like muscles. They form new connections and actually get stronger. They grow when they practice and learn new things.
The results.
Really remarkable. Students showed a jump in grades, much higher motivation. They started using better study strategies. They even started talking casually about things like long-term memory.
That's powerful. And knowing this changes how we should give feedback or criticism, doesn't it?
Fundamentally.
Mm-hmm.
Fixed mindset criticism often sounds judgmental. It questions intelligence or character. You are either dense or irresponsible.
Ouch. Whereas growth mindset criticism
Focuses on the process, the effort, and what can be learned. Like a parent saying, son, it really makes me upset when you don't finish the job properly. When do you plan to complete this? It addresses the action and the plan, not the person's inherent worth.
That distinction is so important in parenting. Reassuring kids about their intelligence can actually backfire.
It often does. It makes them afraid to show any weakness or struggle. Instead, parents should focus on their learning process, their effort, their strategies, their resilience.
Like the dad telling his gymnast daughter after a loss, if you want to excel, it's something you'll really have to work for.
Exactly. Or the new mother nursing her baby and saying, you know, we're both learning how to do this. It frames it as a learning process for everyone involved, not a test of innate ability.
This even applies to really difficult situations, like bullying.
Yes, fixed mindset victims tend to personalize the bullying. Something is wrong with me, and might focus on revenge.
While growth mindset victims
Are more likely to see it as the bully's problem, stemming from their issues, and might focus on educating the bully or finding ways to discuss and resolve the situation. Experts like Stan Davis and Haim Janat Even emphasize approaches that teach compassion and encourage growth in the bullies themselves.
Instead of just labeling them bad kids.
Right. It's about fostering growth in everyone.
Okay, what about self-control? Things like dieting, managing anger. How do mindsets affect willpower?
Well, a fixed mindset tends to view willpower as just another fixed trait. You either have it or you don't.
So if you fail, slip up on a diet, lose your temper.
You might think, see, I'm incompetent, or I just blew it, might as well give up. It becomes another judgment on your fixed character.
But the growth mindset approach.
Approaches self-control as a skill, something to be learned, practiced, improved over time. It focuses on developing strategies, anticipating challenges, and maintaining continuous effort even after setbacks, like those growth mindset chemistry students who plan their study time and actively work to stay motivated.
So if we want to cultivate this growth mindset in ourselves, how do we actually do it? Is there a process?
Yes, the sources outline a pretty clear, practical four-step process.
Okay, step one.
Learn to hear your fixed mindset voice. Start noticing when it shows up. What does it tell you? I'm not good enough for this. What if I fail? I need to prove myself right now. Just recognize its presence.
Step two.
Recognize that you have a choice. You don't have to accept that fixed mindset interpretation of events. You can choose how to respond to challenges, setbacks, criticism.
Okay, choice. Step three.
Talk back to it with a growth mindset voice. Actively challenge the fixed mindset's assumptions. Remind yourself, this is a challenge, okay, but I can learn from it. Failure is an opportunity to figure out what doesn't work.
Dweck even suggests giving your fixed mindset persona a name.
Yeah, like Scared Sally or Judgmental Jim or whatever fits. It helps to externalize it, see it as something separate from your core self, something you can manage rather than be controlled by.
Makes sense. And the final step. Step four.
Take the growth mindset action. Don't just think differently, do differently. Make concrete plans for learning, for practicing, for seeking help or feedback. Using those if-then plans implementation intentions can be really powerful here.
Like, if I feel discouraged by a difficult task, then I will break it down into smaller steps and ask for advice on the hardest part.
Exactly. That turns the growth mindset belief into tangible, proactive behavior.
And what's really freeing about this, it seems, is that the growth mindset moves you beyond this constant need to feel special or prove yourself.
Absolutely. It actually encourages you to seek out constructive criticism, to surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow, not just people who offer empty praise or, act like worshipers.
So it allows you to become more yourself.
Paradoxically, yes. By focusing on growth rather than proving a fixed self, you open yourself up to developing your potential more fully. You become more, not less, in the full flower of your individuality and potency, as Dweck puts it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we've really explored how a simple but profound shift in belief
From seeing traits as fixed to seeing them as cultivable abilities.
can fundamentally transform how you approach, well, pretty much every aspect of your life.
Yeah, from handling setbacks and building resilient relationships to achieving ambitious goals in your career or personal life, your mindset really is your most powerful tool.
And we need to remember that key insight. It's effort that ignites ability and turns it into real accomplishment.
Even the greatest naturals we admire were almost always relentless in their pursuit of growth. They were constantly learning, practicing, pushing their boundaries.
So maybe we can leave our listeners with a provocative thought. It comes from the tennis legend Billie Jean King.
Great quote. She said, you can look back and say, I could have been, polishing your unused endowments like trophies. Or you can look back and say, I gave my all for the things I valued.
Powerful choice. What do you want to look back and say? Embrace that idea that you are a work in progress, capable of immense growth when you bump up against those inevitable obstacles.
The growth mindset will always be there for you, showing you a path forward, a path into the future.